First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on or make sure my add-in is turned on for ScanTo3d. ScanTo3d is part of SolidWorks Premium bundle. I can open up point cloud data or mesh files with ScanTo3d. Here I'm going to open up a point cloud file. The first thing I'm going to do in the file is just see where the model is with respect to, or the point cloud data is with respect to the model. I can see that the front plane is running through the middle of the part, so that looks good. And now I'm going to launch the mesh wizard to convert these point cloud data into a mesh. Here's where I can orient the model or orient the point cloud data with respect to the model. I can define a coordinate system based on points in the point cloud data, or I could actually key in values. So here I'll move it in the X direction and then rotate it. But in this case, I don't need to do any movement of the mesh. So I'll just go to the next. Here's where I can remove noise from the model. Now this is a pretty clean model, so there's not a lot of noise in it, so I'll just leave it as a default. I could also do some cleanup work here by just selecting areas and remove the points in that area. Here's where I can actually remove points in the cloud data. I'll just use the defaults here. So now it's actually created the mesh, and then I can use some tools in the mesh to smooth out edges, sharp edges, and things like that. So you'll notice it move my slider bar to the right, the sharp corners, or round it off a little bit. I want them sharp, so I'll move it back. Now I can have it to where it automatically launches the surface wizard to actually generate surfaces from the mesh. Options here are automatic or guided. In this case, I'll use the guided, so I have a little bit of control over how the surface is going to be generated. Here, it's color coded. Every color in here is going to create a new or different surface. And again, I can use my slider bar to see that it's here. I've got just one surface, or it'll try to create one surface for that loft. I could also use the paint wizard and paint faces of the model to the same color. And now I'm going to generate the surfaces from this, and look like it's had issues with one of the sub meshes. I can see where it created the two planar faces on the ends, but it was not able to create the loft in effect. And there's the two planar faces or surfaces, excuse me, and there's the mesh. It automatically hid the mesh for the end of the, or it actually broke the mesh into sub meshes, hid the ones for the end, and kept the mesh for the loft. And here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the curve wizard to in effect define curves that I can use to create the loft. So basically, I need to create a curve, a section curve running right through the plane. Well, the front plane is running through the middle of the part. And actually, I made a mistake there, so I need to go back and select the front plane, and now I need to define a point. And basically, that point will need to be on that plane so it doesn't offset the curve off of that plane. And I only need to create one curve. Well, actually, it's going to be two curves, but two curves on one plane. Now I can hide the mesh. I can see the geometry. So there's a 3D sketch that it created for the two curves. And I'll just select the plane, create a sketch, draw a circle, and constrain the circle so it's fully defined. Constrain it so that it's coincident with the endpoint of the curve. Do the same thing on the other side. Then also keep the center point of the circle on the front plane. It's running again through the middle of the part. And next I'll do the same thing for the other end. And just like we did before, we'll constrain the endpoint to the circle on both of the curves, and then the center point to the front plane. And the next step in the process is going to be to create a boundary surface. For my boundary surface, my direction 1 will be the 2 circles that we just sketched. And make sure I select the circles and not the planar faces. And for direction 2, I'll select the 2 curves that we generated previously. So now I got a boundary surface to replace the mesh in effect. And now I'll just knit everything together, or excuse me, I'll trim first. And now I'll knit everything together and form a solid. So now I have a solid body from that point cloud data, and then I can turn on or display the mesh to see what kind of discrepancy I have. I want to thank you for watching. Have a nice day.